honors are from the days when he was a young researcher since 1983 and started his career as a lecturer at SJCE College of Engineering, Mysore, to today as Director IIIT Allahabad. His assignments in abroad at France, Japan, USA, Sudan, and Russia in top universities not only made Dr. PN an eminent researcher, but also a professor with nurtured administration skills with various professional recognitions as member, mentor, chairman, principal, and director at various institutions all over India. Sir has worked for more than 15 funded projects with financial support more than 1.8 crores. Sir citations 2537, H index 25, ITIN index 74, which talks about the quality with quantity of publications. Personally, I would fail if I would not mention about Lakshmi Aunty, wife of Dr. PN, who is more loving and caring to all of us, and also Dr. Purnima, who is a good friend of mine. And I wish I did my duty to the best because I really like the professor who really showed us the way that we have to be professors in the society. I really thank the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity, right? So I think I'll hand over the session to Dr. P. Nagbhushan, sir. Sir, I think I need to mute.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, I will be sharing the slides soon. And now Mukesh is sitting next to me only. Just check that. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Is it shared now?
Yes, sir.
The slideshow is not there, sir.
See now?
No, sir.
No.
No,
I think
the slide is visible. It's not in the slideshow mode. It's better to go share the desktop, sir. You can stop sharing the slides directly. We need to make use of that slide share desktop so that we'll have the slideshow mode.
F5 press ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. F5 press ಮಾಡಿ sir.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Now visible?
Is that visible now?
No.
It has to open, sir. The desktop has been shared. You are in the right direction, sir. So that has to be open now.
Yes.
It's open now, I think.
It has to open, sir. Not it.
Not it?
I think there will be 20 seconds delay on my MS Teams, Microsoft Teams.
Yes.
Okay, it's okay. Right then. All right. So again, good morning to all of you. So after a very wonderful inauguration, this is the so-called keynote lecture. The excellent keynote lecture has already been delivered by Professor K. Chidanand Gowda, who was able to link computers and biology. But then, as you might have noted, Professor K. Chidanand Gowda mentioning about the importance of mathematics also. My title, my slides have been titled as not computers, computing. You can recall Dr. Murli was mentioning that in the lecture.
Sir, slides are not visible. I mean, slideshare is not yet started. I think, madam, we can mute everybody.
Is it not visible, slides?
No, sir, not yet.
Start from the beginning. Just a minute. Stop sharing.
Stop sharing. हाँ, ये हो गया ना.
Open.
Open हो गया. ये हो गया.
Now it is visible.
Now it is visible.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So title of my talk could be, I slightly changed it as computing because just now Professor Murli was highlighting that what is more important is not computers. What is important is really computing, the algorithmic part of it, biology and mathematics. Before I get on to my slides, recall those good old days when you just completed your 10th standard. After completing your SSLC, 10th standard, some of you liked biology, some of us did not like biology, or some of us decided that we are people of physics and mathematics, and some of us decided that we are people of biology and chemistry. And in fact, in Karnataka, we also had a very unique hybrid that it could be at PUC level, at +2 level, PCMB, physics, chemistry, mathematics and biology, still giving a open room either to get into biological field or to get into physical science field. Well then, we thought that physics and mathematics will take us to engineering, and biology and chemistry would generally take us to medical or natural science fields. We always had seen that people who would have taken biology will not take mathematics, and people who would have taken mathematics would not be interested in biology or would be compelled not to take biology. But today, the contrast is this particular session and this particular whole FDP is on computers and biology, computing and biology. So mathematics is the platform now, which is basis for putting both computing and biology together. So starting from those days when we said that you are going to take up engineering because you don't like biology, to the days where your liking in biology is equally important to do a very good engineering. This is very, very interesting change. And this interesting change has happened because of computer science and computing. In fact, I was wondering, now we should go back to old school of engineering where when Professor Chidanand Gowda and others were students of engineering, they had almost 3 to 4 years, very common. And in the 4th and final year, they used to branch out into branch disciplines. Possibly now, with the computing in background, perhaps we have got to set up the first 2 years quite common, leading to various aspects of computing and computers. And then based on our interest, we should specialize applying computing into biology, applying computing into civil engineering, apply computing into mechanical engineering, apply computing into heat engines, thermodynamics, etc. Perhaps in the later 2 years. That could probably be the newer evolution in entire computing science teaching activity or in the engineering itself. I'm very sure the days are sooner going to come. As I mentioned in my previous talk about the national education policy, which Professor K. Chidanand Gowda also mentioned very indirectly, that a combination of mathematics and information technology, mathematics and computer science, similarly a combination of computer science and biology would be very, very salient in the days to come. In fact, we in IIIT Allahabad, we have already started these combinations. We are on the annual, our Senate has already approved, and Professor Chidanand Gowda happens to be one prestigious member in the Senate. Our Senate has already approved now. Our board also has given the approval in principle. Now we have got to introduce that. We are introducing the BTech program in twin streams. One stream is called theme stream, and the theme stream in this case is computer science and engineering, In the case of electronics, the theme stream is electronics and communication, and the allied stream could be mathematics, allied stream could be physics, and one more intelligent allied stream is very interesting. It is called intelligent biosystems. We expect information technology and intelligent biosystems to be the deadly combination, which would not only attract the entire bio application areas, very entire bioengineering industry, because this person comes with the domain knowledge of information tech, with the application knowledge of information technology and domain knowledge of intelligent biosystems also. Similarly, we have thought of a lovely combination which has got to be an extraordinarily good combination for machine learning, advanced artificial intelligence, which is information technology, and applied engineering mathematics. In fact, we are expecting that electronics and applied engineering physics could lead into quantum computing, evolution of quantum computing, and a lot of wonders in the communication technology, the wireless mobile computing, etc., in that area. So the twin streams have been thought of, and we are very happy that Professor Chidanand Gowda, who also is a Senate member at IIIT Allahabad, and other Senate members from IIT Kanpur, from various other places, have helped us to finalize this twin stream of BTech program, which is going to be a very powerful program. I would be giving more details in a lecture on 23rd, when I will be delivering Professor P.V. Bandari Memorial Oration. Professor P.V. Bandari was the Director of Technical Education of Karnataka, and in his memory there is a memory oration on 23rd. I would be delivering how new education policy could be tweaked in engineering studies so that the learners could be a greater advantage. In fact, my emphasis would be upon learning and only upon learning. This is most important. Okay, this has got to be the most important point. Well then, the moment we speak about biology, we always immediately relate biology to several medical applications. That's a sort of thinking for us, although non-medical biology itself is a wonderfully big field where a lot of computing has got to be thought of. Well, even if we think of medical, biomedical, like Dr. Dinesh, who specializes in several biomedical aspects, that itself is a field by itself. I had a project earlier. This project was on classification of Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. Interesting biomedical application into pattern recognition. So the pattern recognition, as Professor Chidanand Gowda mentioned, as a big technology of science and technology of classification, to be very specifically applied on discriminating and labeling a patient as an Alzheimer's disease patient or as a Parkinson's disease patient, which worked on the input and trace elements, the trace elements being the features, apart of other features. So here, the interesting point is, naturally, when we went into that, we really found that we do not have a knowledge base of healthy samples. We get the patients, Parkinson patient or an Alzheimer's patient, but then we really do not have the knowledge base of totally healthy samples. So we decided to build up the knowledge base of healthy samples, and naturally getting the features, getting the input, getting the samples became very difficult problem, but still we went ahead. This was a project between University of amongst University of Mysore, JSS Medical College, and CFTRI Mysore. So we three jointly started working on that, and naturally University of Mysore was the major player in building up the computational model. Okay, Dr. Sanjay Pandey was the PhD student. In fact, he had a difficult time because he had got to coordinate with the 3 investigators, one from University of Mysore, the other 2 from CFTRI, and also from JSS Medical College. Well, and I'm speaking here on this. You know that as Professor Chidangoda has already mentioned, any pattern recognition problem, any sample is a set of features. It is a vector of features. Now, healthy sample is also a set of features. Every feature in a healthy sample will not carry one precise value. When we take up several healthy samples and study that particular feature, then we observe that that particular feature spreads between the 2 limits, the lower limit and the upper limit, and any value lying within these 2 limits, lower limit and upper limit, is said to be a very safe value or is said to be a healthy value. But it is not as simple as just being a spread. Although the spread is the starting point which gives a range, and surely range alone is not enough. It is also the histogram that is going to be built between this lower limit value and the upper limit value, and in general every feature is a sort of distribution, is generally a histogram distribution. In general, it has statistically, it could be a Gaussian distribution.
Sir, excuse me, slides are not moving, sir.
Yeah, slides are not moving, I know that. Okay, I have not still not come to that. Okay, in general, it is a Gaussian distribution. Okay, so now you imagine the Gaussian. I'm particularly not moving the slides because I want you to imagine the slides within yourself, because this is computers and biology, and the most important part of the biology is naturally the brain, naturally the intellectual system. I want the biological system of your to automatically imagine the slides when I am speaking also, and later I have a lot more applications which have been put here. This particular application I have not put as a slide. Okay, so there is a Gaussian distribution. Now when there is a Gaussian distribution, there is a peak, and any value just around the peak is the safest value. Around the peak is going to be the safest value, which is the intrinsically healthy zone. Around that, where as the Gaussian distribution on both the sides goes down, around that could be the healthy area, and after that is the acceptable area. And if the value lies beyond this Gaussian distribution, naturally it is unhealthy area. So the very first modeling that we could do was on the histogram, the Gaussian distribution, and then we distributed the Gaussian distribution into several zones, and each zone was told as intrinsically healthy area, and then acceptably healthy area, acceptable area, and then the non-acceptable area, and then suitable weights were given to this, and then a new sample, a new distance was measured, and based on the distance we said that whether the sample is healthy or not. But this is for one feature, therefore the same activity had got to be repeated for all the features. Then we thought that this could be a little difficult task. Then we said, how about converting the histogram, the Gaussian distribution, into a cumulative histogram? When we convert it into a cumulative histogram, naturally, you know, any cumulative histogram is always growing up and up. A normalized cumulative histogram goes between 0 and 1. Therefore, we thought why we should not fit a line, straight line. And that straight line gives the excellent linear fitting for a histogram. And then similarly, when we take that of a histogram of a patient, that is another straight line, a linear histogram. A linearization of the histogram is a straight line, and the distance between these two straight lines would give the healthy or unhealthy situation. Well then, that is what was modeled with Alzheimer's disease. That was my first romance with computers and biology. It was very excellent. In fact, papers were published in Computers and Biology Journal. And in fact, they are one of the best papers which I have seen. Well then, now because I mentioned about mathematics, you should understand the fact is humans do not invent mathematics, rather they discover it. This is from Wikipedia. So in the previous example also, I was speaking about histogram, I was speaking about distances, etc. And then I did not speak about either computer science or I did not speak about biology, but the application was that of biology. And the basis, the medium was computing, whereas the whole premise was because of mathematics. But you should understand that humans do not invent mathematics, but rather discover mathematics. Okay, they discover mathematics. That's what Wikipedia tells. Therefore, the study of mathematics has got to be highly exploratory. So the background for any engineering achievement is that mathematics, and mathematics has got to be exploratory. Discovery by exploration is the basis for invention. Discovery by exploration is the basis for invention. In fact, where we normally prove a mathematics theorem and tell that the mathematics is over, where mathematics concludes, from there the engineering begins, more so the computing and biology. Now, in fact, you have got to now recall at the beginning of this school, every teacher and therefore later he is the one who is going to motivate, should tell that it is not because you don't like mathematics you study biology, or it is not because you don't have fascination for mathematics you study biology, or you take up mathematics because you are weak in biology, but the whole knowledge has got to go together and it has got to be holistic learning which has got to happen. Again, holistic learning is a trump, is the important, is the focus in national education policy. All right, you look at this very simple example, very simple example. If I mention this example is an example from biology, you could be amazed. All right, you could see a child throwing the ball, pumping the ball up into the air. All right, and naturally the child is entirely the biological system. So the mechanical strength of the child, which is because of the composition of the limbs and composition of the entire system of the person, would also decide the forcing function with which the ball would be thrown. At the same time, food which is taken in is the energizing function also, which is the which delivers the energy to the child in pushing the ball into the air. Therefore, the whole biology system here is of two folds. It is not one system. In fact, it is not even two systems. It has got to be three systems. Number one, first, the whole biological skeleton of the child, the biological skeleton, the constitution of the body itself is one system. Second system is whole biological skeleton will not be able to do anything provided if the battery is not there, which is in terms of the food, which is in terms of the energy. Therefore, another system is naturally the digestive system and assimilation system, the absorption system into the blood. So digestive system and circulatory system together is the battery, is the power. So there are two systems in this biology. One is the biological skeleton system. Second is the food system, the digestive system and the circulatory system. These two are one part. The third part, the most important part, as I mentioned earlier, is in your brain, is in your mind, your mood, your enthusiasm to play, your enthusiasm to get involved into this work, the focus that you can give on to this playing this game. You know, this is a third system. So the exciting system, if you model it as a mathematics, if the ball, the way the ball could be thrown, etc., could be a simple second order differential equation, ending it the forcing function f of t, and that forcing function f of t is not just one forcing function, although it appears like the ball, the way it has been pumped into the air by the hand, it is not just that. That forcing function itself is the combination, is the assimilation of several forcing functions, which just now, as I mentioned, is because of the constitution of the body. Second thing, it is because of the amount of energy with which you can force, with which you can release the body, which is again dependent upon both digestive system and absorption system, the circulatory system, plus the mood on that day, the brain, the make of your brain, the mood, the interest, the enthusiasm that your whole system would deliver into pumping the body. Therefore, modeling the forcing function itself is a very, very interesting topic. Now, imagine, put them all aside. You now think that you want to replace this human system with a robot, right, with an artificial life. In fact, at the beginning of this century, at the turning of this century, the interesting point was that there shall be robots which will be playing the football. The robots of America would be playing the football with the robots of Europe in playing the football. 11 robots on both the sides would be kicking the ball, and imagine now the different varieties of human beings have got to be simulated here, and different types of robots have got to be simulated. Imagine what is going to happen in creating such an artificial life. So it is not just having legs, it is not just having limbs, it is also having the way the power would be consumed by the different parts of the body. Therefore, the forcing function itself is an interesting topic. Well then, now you look at this, the second part. The first part, I just mentioned it as one robot or one body playing. Here is the coordination between the two people. How does this coordination happen? Here comes the control system. All right. It is an automatic judgment which automatically happens. What Professor Chidanand Gowda mentioned, self-organization. How will it happen? Nobody, the two players, the two people involved here will not tell, will not even speak. Automatically there shall be a rhythm in the way the ball would be released, and there shall be a rhythm in the way the ball is collected, and the way both of them are going to exchange the ball while throwing the ball into the air. Well, mathematical important question would be different. What is the maximum height the ball would reach? In the air is a different question, and with what velocity the ball would move is a different question. These are all of mathematical interest, but what I have got to focus now is the coordination, the self-organization which automatically happens in a biological system has got to be copied into the mechanical system, robotic system, the artificial life system when we have got to simulate. That's a wonderful topic. That's a very, very difficult topic where we have got to really focus upon. Well then, why do we need robots to play the game? Now that might be the question. It is not that we want the robots to play the game, but it is that we are able to copy, we are able to simulate how human beings would perform. That is what is more important. And in fact, why we really need the robots? In fact, that's a very interesting question. This is a very when there was a fiction story. In the fiction story, it goes like this: it was necessary for a big company to select only one top man, and two were shortlisted to be selected for the top man. Then one set of people said that we shall have a detailed interview. Another set of people said, no, we shall ask them to work on two different projects. And the third set of people just mentioned the following: let us give an automation work to both of them. Let both of them come out with an automation system. Maybe it could be playing a chess, or maybe it could be playing a cowrie game, or maybe whatever, both of them could work on that. And let us assume one such could be for a robot company. Let them resign artificial life or a robot system or a second life system, robots, both of them, let the robots designed by both of them play the game, and naturally we will find out the winning robot, and the person who is behind the winning robot has got to be the person who should be the chief of this company, because the winning robot implies understanding or implementation of the artificial life by being understood by the person who has designed it. And if the winning robot continues to win, like best 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, whatever it is, he has been able to understand and implement the artificial life much better. Therefore, he must be the chief of the company. So that was a fiction story. It was a very interesting story, and that story really shows how biology and computers have got to go together. How it would be very interesting. In fact, for me, any biological instinct ultimately is the intellectual instinct, and intelligence is because of biology. All right, because of life. And if the cells are not active, if the brain cells are not active, then what intelligence could be possible, right? Okay, so now this picture clearly shows you when you design the robot, the artificial life, how the things have got to be taken into account, right? Well then, simulating the entire thing naturally requires the perfect understanding of biology. Again, recall, when you are going to play a football, it is not just the mechanical composition of the body which matters, which also matters, as I just now said, it is digestive, modeling the digestive system and modeling the circulatory system are also equally important, because man is a holistic representation of several systems, and that is what has got to happen. And in fact, either in mathematics or in computer science, we deal each system independently. We still have not integrated all of them. In fact, you must have heard Professor Chidanand Gowda mentioning very interestingly that it is the systems combination, and a systems combination, he was repeatedly giving the example that it is 2 plus 2 is not 4, 2 plus 2 is far greater than 4, and that is what has got to happen in the systems integration. The excitation function is not because of the legs over here, not because of the hands over here, and that legs, the power with which the ball could be kicked is naturally because of the action on the leg, which comes, as I said now, from the digestive system, from the circulatory system, which also comes from your neural network system, the nervous system, right? Or the brain. These are all the combinations which have got to work. So this is what I just wanted to convey through this example, right? Okay, all right. So now this is where here you can see here, which second picture you can see, this further shows that there is one more system which is required, the vision system. All right, I told you about that coordination in the second picture in the last set of diagrams also. When the ball has to reach the other player, it is a vision system also. Now you can see how complication is in modeling a problem, and how can solving this problem be complete without knowing the biology of the system. And in the biology, you remember even in your 8th standard or 9th standard, you started learning the biology, the human system. You started learning digestive system separately, circulatory system separately, vision system separately, nervous system separately, and they are not separate entities, they are the combinations, and they are not simple, they don't work on simple principle of superposition, because each system, one, is not linear, two, the way they combine is not definitely linear, it's totally a non-linear combination, and that's what it has got to happen. That's the reason I have taken these pictures. Well then, this is another interesting. Well, I'm a computer, let me assume I'm a computer, but I have got to deal with the biological systems. Like this example is just to convey that, a simple example, that I'm asked to find out the weight of an elephant. The problem is immaterial, but What I'm trying to tell is I have got to deal with a biological system. A doctor has got to deal with a biological system. Most of us have got to deal with several biological systems. Like we go for pathology test, all right? We go for always measurements, the doctor, the moment you go to the doctor, the first thing a doctor would definitely do is the weight of us and then take the BP of us and then read the pulse of us. These are all numbers, good. But then what is very interesting here? It is more interesting here is, can these tests be automatically be done? You remember our days when we used to go for the pathology test, we used to carry our stool, we used to carry our urine, okay? When I was in USA recently, my daughter had to go for a regular routine checkup, and I also went with her to the clinic, and she was asked to use the toilet. She just used the toilet, and by the time she came out from the toilet, the reports were ready. All that she did was she used the toilet. It was a very special toilet, and after using the toilet, she was asked to flush the toilet, and then the reports were ready. You know, recall I used to recall my days when we used to carry the stool in a matchbox, and then the sometimes spit also we had to carry, but then it just happened. So what is more important here? Of course, these are all biological parameters, biological features which have got to be collected, the pathological features. But then what was important is the way the sensors have been working, the way the sensors have been put into the toilet pit itself, and the way the sensors have been working on a dynamic basis plus instantaneous basis. Is a real time data being generated from the sensors, and it is real time. It was connected to the computers on infinitely, it was connected to the computers, and instantaneously a real-time algorithm would have generated the results, the values. Okay, that's the beauty of the entire process. Well then, just to I could not get such wonderful picture for such toilet where that's the reason I just have collected just to symbolize the entire story. Like how do you measure the weight of an elephant, or in this case naturally how do I measure? Now we have already heard that there are different types of e-coats, e-bunions which are available, which would be worn by the patients, and that would be generating the signals automatically, and such type of generation is very necessary during this COVID period, where even the health workers like nurses should also maintain the physical distance. So the e-shirt or the e-coat which the patient would be made to wear will keep on generating, transducing the sensors on the e-shirt would keep on generating the signal. That's a very interesting combination of computing in various aspects, like number one, communication, number two, multi-channeling, multiplexing, and number three, putting all of them into one computer, one server, and number four, immediately putting the data onto the cloud. Number five, lot of data happening over lot of instant of time, out of which automatic data mining has got to keep on continuously happening, instantaneously coupled happening, and if there is any deviation, it has got to call the attention of the doctor, or it has got to call the attention of another expert system, because of which the doctor comes to know what has got to be done. This is the interaction, the coordination. The previous example I explained the coordination, and here is the coordination amongst various external systems. In the previous example of the ball game, I explained the coordination between various systems of within the system. Here it's the coordination between amongst various systems, various happening and various sensory events which are happening around to be compiled, to be assembled, and such an assemblage is the task. And naturally here we have got to understand the role of biology and the role of biological computations which need to be taken up. Okay, this is only an example to exemplify this. Look at this interesting example. You can see here a very wonderful picture, a very hefty person, and look at this dress and look at this dress. He is trying to wear and still buttons, he is not able to button that. Okay, so naturally this is a biological a huge system, and you have got to compute a wonderful dress for him, proper dress for him, and then whatever he wears, the moment he breathes in and breathes out, the button is off. The button is going to be off, or this is going to be the situation. So what should we do here under such a case? So this is computers and biology have got to go together. Computing, not computers, computing and biology have got to go together. What is your suggestion to solve this problem? All right, of course, the one suggestion is reduce the weight, but that is not going to work immediately, instantaneously. It could work in the days to come, but then immediately what is the solution? What is the way we have got to solve? So this picture shows it is not about anything. It is having the circumferences, having the knowledge of circumferences at different concentric circles from top to bottom. Okay. Right, that is the interesting part. So the mathematics is a interesting combination. Well, the interesting outcome could be just have the stretchable, stretchable quotes, okay, which could automatically be adaptable, right? Then, but then this simple example I just wanted to impress upon you that biology and computation always would go together hand in hand. Or here, biology naturally refers to intelligence, brain, and use of intelligence. And here is one example where without biologically motivated approach, you cannot solve the problem. I will start with a simple fiction again. Imagine you are in your room. Imagine you are going through your first love letter. All right. In case it's a boy, naturally the first love letter received from your first girlfriend, or in case it is a lady, the first love letter. And suddenly your mother enters into your room. What is the best way to hide that paper? The best way to hide that paper is to cut that paper, paper into pieces, and just put those pieces on the table so that your mother would get an impression that you are cleaning up the table, and you have intelligently put those pieces on the table. So you have just massacred, you have broken the picture, you have broken the letter into several pieces, and you have put all the pieces together. You are intelligent when you are doing that, because when you are broken, you remember how you would tear the paper. When you tear the paper two halves, and the two halves, one goes beneath the other when you are going to make another tear, and then the two tears, one interleaved with the previous one, gets again interleaved with the first one and the second one. The four pieces now will be one behind the other. So when you keep continuously tearing it like this, there is an automatic modular mathematics which automatically recollects these pieces when you are reassembling those pieces. Is it okay? So you can recollect, you can reassemble that. And when you observe this, your biological instinct, the intelligence, would give rise to many, many things. Number one, the paper which contained the entire love story was voluminous, was quite big, but now these small pieces are not voluminous. Number one. Number two, your mother cannot hack all these pieces, cannot reconstruct the entire piece, because the sequence in which these pieces are available are well known to you, because You are the person who have taken it, and you are the person who knows the arrangement in which the sequence, and it is very difficult for your mother. So hacking is very difficult. Number three, each piece is a small piece, and technically now speaking, for communicating this piece, you don't really require the huge bandwidth. So the bandwidth to pass on a bigger data, pass on a bigger piece of paper is different from the bandwidth to pass on a smaller piece of smaller image, smaller image. 4. You take up any single piece, you just take up any single piece. If you want, you can still go for further security on the single piece. You can run any cryptographic algorithm on different piece, and different pieces can have different cryptographic algorithms, and it is small. Therefore, the complexity of the security algorithms that you would be running on every piece will not be as cumbersome as that you would expect to run on a bigger piece. So these are the advantages. So look how interesting are the total ideas. So the next is assemblage. Assemblage is a simple zigzag problem solving. It is just assemblage. And even in earlier problem where I mentioned that the pieces are rectangular pieces or squarish pieces, the arrangement may be simple, but if they are not even squarish, if they have any concavity and convexity, then comes the geometry, the alignment of the geometry. Here, this piece, you could observe this piece, and this piece has got a convex ending. Naturally, another piece should have this is a concavity ending, and this red piece should have a counterpart, the convex ending, and concavity and convexity should fuse in, which is all mathematics. But mathematics happens in the brain. Remember that mathematics happens in the brain. Brain represents the biological system, and that natural thinking, natural brain, natural mathematics, which happens because of natural computing ability, natural intelligence ability, has got to be mimicked as an algorithm, as Dr. Mugli has put it in the first part of the inaugural session. This has got to happen. See, we can do the explicit programming, but can our programs automatically do that programming? That is what is machine learning aspect. So the machine automatically should learn to automatically devise thinking like the biological system adaptively thinks depending upon the situation, right? This is what has got to happen. This is a very interesting problem, and this interesting problem should be able to motivate, should be able to connect, establish an excellent connection amongst all of them, the computing, the biological thinking, the biological natural phenomenon of intelligent thinking, plus naturally the basis of mathematics to provide the algorithmic tools. Okay, this is the one such a problem which I just wanted to bring it out to you. Well then, the whole biology has several applications into medical science. Particularly, I would take up these pictures. I would put all the pictures together so that you can really feel what the pictures are going to convey. And the pictures are really conveying the drugs, the medicines to be taken. Each one of them is a mathematics. You should understand that. The biology here is to understand the mathematics behind every biology here. See, this medicine gets into stomach. These are essentially slow release medicines. Okay, they release the medicine in an incremental way to the body. Okay, so from the stomach it gets into intestine, and from the intestine, it on the way in the intestine it gets absorbed into the circulatory system. So it is a slow release system. So even here there is a mathematical model, the differential equation again, the way the medicines get absorbed. Even here we have now seen that there are systems, there are medicines which melt on the passage. The moment you put it onto the tongue itself, it melts, and that is quick absorption. That's for quick action and quick absorption. So designing the pharmaceutical, designing the medicine itself, depending upon the biological requirement of the body, depending upon the type of disease to be treated, has a background of mathematics. So you cannot just tell that without biology I shall do medicine, or I mean without biology I shall do computing, or without computing I shall do biology, or without mathematics I can do biology. It's not at all possible. So this is one. Second, when we need the action to be more instantaneous than a medicine, naturally we give the medicine in the liquid form. Okay. All right, that's the medicine, and there is a different reason which medicine have got to be in the liquid form, which medicine has got to be in the solid form like this, and even in that which are in the solid medicine, which are in the capsule, small micro medicines, small medicines. Okay, these are all small medicines inside the capsule. Each would be a slow release. Here, naturally, is the system where it is a muscular injection. Okay, naturally the absorption, the action is far faster. You can see here is intravenous. Is it all right? It is straight into the circulatory system. So this is faster than this, and this is straight into the circulatory system. And here it is, the drip which is continuous. You have seen in the hospital that the medicines will be injected along with the drip, and that gets into the system in an incremental way at a slow pace. It is all decided. The whole thing is an excellent computational model working on a living biological model, In fact, when I remember this statement, working on a living biological model, there was a very interesting statement. What is the difference between an engineer and a doctor? Say, even an engineer, particularly a mechanical engineer or a mechanic in a workshop or whatsoever, he works when the engine is not working, right? So when if the car has got to be repaired, the car will not be working. Okay, he will be repairing the car in almost the dead state, and then he gives life to the car, and then he tests whether the car is working or not. Whereas a doctor, the real engineer, the biological engineer, the doctor has got to work on a living machine. Is that clear? That is the difference. So a biological doctor is the need of the hour, and a biological engineer is the need of the hour, who is the doctor. And as on today, the doctor constrained only into biological requirements, only into medicine, is not the man. As Professor Chidanand Gowda mentioned, an artificial life, a robot has got to become a doctor, which has got to work on a living biological system. And that's the reason I took these examples. In fact, I have got to give one more example, which I could not get one such picture. When I was in Japan, I used to visit one Indian family at the end of every week. And in that Indian family, there was a very young boy who was not doing well. And then he was being administered with some sort of medicine at the end of 2 hours, every 2 hours a day. And then when his mother used to call him, are you ready for the medicine? He would immediately remove his underwear. I was not understanding why is he removing the underwear. Normally, after taking the medicine, after drinking water, somebody would definitely go to a loo to piss. But then here this boy was removing the underwear before taking the medicine. I was wondering, and I was not able to understand. Then I was there in that house for about 8 hours, and at least I saw him 3 times or 4 times doing that. And then I inquired. Then the father said that this is not a medicine to be swallowed. This medicine, we are going to keep it in the rectum. And that medicine, because of the heat in the rectum itself, will sublime, and then it will evaporate upwards. It will evaporate upwards towards the intestine. It gets into the larger intestine from the rectum, and from larger intestine slowly it dissipates into the smaller intestine, and the treatment is done that way. That is why it has got to be administered in every once in 2 hours. look at the beauty of the entire computing, and look at the beauty of the mathematics, the model which is derived here, which is working on a biological system. I'm very sure doctors definitely would tell that this is possible, but if that doctor is not an engineer, if that doctor is not a person who could model this computation, he will not be able to come out with such a wonderful medicine, concept of medicine moving from rectum upwards, whereas this medicine moves from mouth downwards. This is mouth downwards, whereas that medicine moving upwards. Look at the beauty of the combination of computing and biology, which could make the life wonderful. Right. So these parts naturally, I'm sure we are going to listen to Dr. Dinesh in much greater detail. He has worked on lot on medical imaging. These are all medical imaging. These are all real life imaging. You know, in fact, the endoscopy which is being performed today is a combination of both medical live imaging, real time imaging, and the entire vision system simply works. The robotic vision system works on the entire system. I have seen in Niemann's, I had an opportunity to be in an operation surgical theater. It was a very interesting surgery. It was a surgery of removing a blood clot. It was all mechanized, and the doctors were there only to do the diagnosis part of it. The surgeon was there only to do the diagnosis part. Otherwise, it was so mechanized that the coordinate of the clots were fixed, and robot was given the coordinates of the clots, and robot also verified the coordinates of the clots, and then just it aligned itself. It just pushed the needle straight into that portion, sucked that blood clot, and just came out. And obviously the blood oozing was so minimum, it was almost non-invasive surgery. Imagine the interesting combo of biology and computation which have gone together. So computing and biology could do even such works problem like removing the blood clot, which earlier was just a fatal surgery. In the earlier days, it used to be fatal surgery. Small blood clots could be almost non-invasive. Computing models have been possible. Okay, I'm sure one day Dr. Dinesh would probably be speaking about imaging. Well then, look at this example. This is a garden hose pipe. All right, garden hose pipe, and then naturally here is a hand which should represent the biological system, and here is a car which has got to be cleaned. This is going to explain you the wonderful combination of mathematics, biology, and computation. Okay, look here. This part is dirty. You have got to clean. Here is the hose pipe, whose length is limited. You cannot reach this, whose length is limited. And here is the biologic system, which is holding this pipe, garden hose pipe, and the way you are modulating using your thumb, the direction and the way you are modulating the pressure so that the water could reach this expected boundary. It is a simple boundary valued differential equation. So you are modulating the forcing function here using your thumb, and also the direction using these 4 fingers, so that this water could straight pump onto the dirt and it cleans the dirt. Where are all these calculations taking place? These calculations, these directions are happening in the biological computer, the intelligence of the system, and this mechanical pressure has been transduced by these fingers over here would be directing. This is this is in fact the algorithm called garden hose pipe algorithm to solve the boundary valued differential equations. Okay, this is the hybridization of computing, mathematics, and biology. Okay, biological computation. So thus was the type of algorithms which are required, and now this is more mechanized. Now the same thing is more mechanized, like the intelligence, the part of the intelligence which was happening here in your brain, and the part of the computation which was happening through your thumbs and the fingers have been automated, semi-automated over here, and little programming could be done over here. See, from brain, the programming, the computing has come over to this part and has been working on this. Still, this is a very interesting example of human computing interaction. So the computing is come over here. Still there is a human computing interaction. This interaction is because of the vision system, but the brain is now largely relieved of doing a lot of computation, but it is still establishing the coordination. It is still doing the coordination. So human computing interaction. The word human computer interaction itself is biological interaction. Okay. So that's a very wonderful combination. So when I continued looking into the same sequence, you can see the drip irrigation, right? So this drip irrigation is same as this drip irrigation. There is absolutely no difference in the type of mathematical model. What works here in dripping the entire human system here through a drip irrigation over a single needle, the same thing in here. We have been doing it with multiple needles because there are multiple patients. The plants being the multiple patients, they are being handled by the same supply system, the same tank of water, right? And here also it is the same. Like there you decide by how much the medicine has got to get into the medicine. You also decide what should be the drip size, when should this water get released, etc. And then here it's a very interesting model. Where should you put the menu, and how the menu, at what distance the menu has got to be put, how it has got to get absorbed into that, and then how it helps growing the root system and then the shoot system. These calculations or computations are totally the biology driven computations, right? And that's exactly what has got to happen everywhere. But the model, the whole architecture is the same, whether it is botany, whether it is earth, or whether it is a human body, the whole model is still the same. Look at this example, very interesting plant biology, right? The whole trace. You just have a look at it. I'm going to show the next picture, and then you can see how engineering is just the copy of the nature, right? So the columns and the stress, over here, the civil engineering architecture, and here. Do you find any difference between these two? The biology, the nature has already solved the problems, and we are reinventing to solve them in the similar way as nature has already solved the problem. Okay, so this is exactly, so if we can find the solutions, if we can extract the computing algorithms from the nature, we have the algorithms in solving all these problems, right? So this is interesting civil engineering application. Okay, now when you look at the newspaper, okay, here is the newspaper and the news side, but I'm more particular about the advertisement side. You look at the advertisement. These advertisements are so designed to attract your attention. They attract the intelligence of a living biological system, particularly to attract the human capability, the human vision system, particularly the human brain system and the human vision system. Even today, I still recall one advertisement where a beautiful slender lady was in the arms of a very handsome man, and one arm was carrying this lady, and he was looking at somewhere else, and in the other hand was a cigarette. And that was an advertisement of a cigarette told that made for each other. Your attention will go to that beautiful lady who is in one arm and the writing made for each other, but then it was the advertisement of a cigarette made for each other. So the whole industry, the newspaper industry, works on this of how to attract the attention. So also in the biological field also, you have seen the male frogs attract the female frogs. We have heard that. We have seen that even the birds, male birds, will do all the gimmicks to attract the female counterpart. In the newspapers also do that. They provide a lot of, for example, if I draw my attention over here, you can see here, what is the relevance of this tree? That may not be understood easily unless you read it, foundation courses, and that is why you can see the root system is also visible here. See, the whole advertisement is trying to tell you, we make the roots strong so that when you shoot out, you will be of great advantage and all the advantage is yours, right? This is exactly the advertisement has been trying to convey. So the best way to make the attention towards the advertisement is to make the advertisement more and more complicated. Therefore, you would spend more and more time in understanding the advertisement. Once I was flying from Bangalore to Delhi, and I just randomly picked up this the magazine, the Air magazine, and one page contained six women. Six means 6 into 2, 12 legs. So 6 women sitting on a compound, on a parapet, and their legs were all bare legs. They did not have. It was all legs were visible, and they were all different 6 women. Okay, like different skin colored 6 women. One probably from Africa, one probably from India, one probably from USA, one probably from UK, like that. 6 varieties of colors. And it was not that, of course, somehow, don't ask me the question, how did you find out that those 6 legs were of women legs? Naturally, they were all clean legs, therefore I assume that they must be of women legs. That was not that. See, the woman leg attracted me to the page. That's the sense of the biological attraction. So the woman legs were attracted me. Then attention went on to the text which was printed on the legs. So now you imagine the advertisement had the woman legs on the background, and then the text was printed across these legs. Reading the text was very difficult because whenever the text, which was in black in color, like this newspaper printing, which is black in color, when it ran through the white leg, surely it was very easily readable. On a white leg, it was easily readable. But when this same text ran through the brown leg, like that of an Indian leg, or like when it ran through the black leg, African leg, it was very difficult to read. And then I was taking got etched in my brain, and that was the trick of the advertisement. The trick of the advertisement was to lure your attention and keep looking into that advertisement and keep decoding that advertisement so that you get lured to that attention and get lured to the product, and whenever you go to the market you would be searching that product because that had spoiled your time and that had attracted you so badly that you still keep remembering it. That is the advantage. Now, with that, I had one beautiful PhD problem defined, and this beautiful PhD problem was solved by Dr. Nirmala. This was how to extract the text content from a rich background, from a rich colored background. Okay, that was the problem which I took up, and I just, oh yeah, where is that? I just come back to these problems later because just now I explained that problem. I got to go to that problem now. Where is that? Okay, so this is a nice background. This is a foreground noise. This is a background noise. So this is the background noise. And now the type of example which I was giving was like this. See, these are all trees over here. Imagine had they been the legs, and see here The text has been printed here. The text is printed in white color, therefore it may be readable, but the text there and the Air magazine was in black in color, and it was reading was so difficult. See here, what I said is this. Can you make out what is the text content here? It is very difficult here. The it is very difficult to make it out. Whereas reading it here with the background is very easy here, right? That was the difficulty, right? So extracting this is the very interesting. Naturally, your natural intelligence, natural biological intelligence can do that, but try to write a code, try to write just simply a program. It is not writing a program. It is really modeling a situation, which is very important. Okay, right there. I will come to this example again. Biology driven, say intelligent, intellect driven. How do you wash the clothes? You have washing machine, no doubt, but how do you really wash the machine? How do you really do that? The coordination. See, you are looking at the way she is looking at the collar, because she is aware that collar needs the attention, and there is a special attention to wash the collar, to soap the collar higher, and then special washing method has got to be. Have you found one such washing machine even today? No, we don't have such an intelligent washing machine, which is a biologically motivated washing machine. That is what has got to happen today, right? That's the type of problem. Well, then here is another interesting example. Here, see the type of the biology offering so much of interesting geometry. Well, then immediately you can realize that this, in addition to whatever Professor Chidananda Gowda spoke, this is fractal geometry. The entire fractal dimension and fractal geometry is because of such botanical observation. Look at the symmetry, look at the beautiful spread, look at the beautiful symmetry. And when it comes to symmetry, look at it. The coconut tree has a symmetry, and an elephant is totally symmetrical. Look at the beautiful girl, the way she gets dressed up is symmetrical. And look at in natural world, the symmetry in the natural world, the biology, and same is true with our temple construction, with all our man-made constructions also. So all man-made models are totally biologically simulated. So biology, the answer is already there in the nature. The answer, the problem is solved in the nature, and we are trying to emulate those interesting situations. I think I have got a lot of examples. These rangolis are all outcome of that. Lot of examples, and I have got to tell you about this. This is a very natural thing. We have seen that. Oh, we have seen in nature that a mouse is, Professor Chidananda Gowda started with mouse. Mouse is common amongst biology, computers, and human being, everything. So mouse is being chased by a cat, and cat is being chased by a dog. So this is a very famous chase problem. You can see that cat is chasing, mouse is being chased by a rat, is being chased by a cat, cat is being chased by a rat, but then ultimately you will not know if it is circular, who is chasing whom, you will forget about it. But then that is the basic problem. You observe that is the basic problem in solving all these chase problems. The aeroplane chasing, the foe being chased by flyers, all problems are being solved by that. So they are all biologically motivated problems. All these types of acrobatics can be done only by human being. All right. And in spite of all these acrobatics being done, how is the system stable? How is he going to maintain the stability? Which computation automatically ensures the stability of this ladder? And again, to establish the stability also, the man, either with the coordination with another man or self, has got to do that. So these are all totally biologically interrelated computations. Okay. Well then, I would conclude my lecture with this example. You see here this example. Do you find any difference between these two? Human vision system could probably tell that they are identical. Okay, little intelligent system could tell that they are swapped. They could have been, they could be the flipped version. Look at here, all right, same scene, 3 angles, 3 different perspectives. All these calculations are very essential, particularly when you are shooting a surgery, when you are picturizing a surgery, when the surgery is going on and a camera is looking at the patient. One camera may not be enough because that camera may be opaque when the surgeon leans on the patient to look into the condition of the patient. That camera could be opaque because the line of sight with that camera could be lost. Therefore, there has got to be another camera from a different direction. But please note that another camera is looking at the patient from a different direction. But then when the overall movie has got to be made, or overall shooting has got to be presented, it has got to be presented from particular direction as a learner would love to look at the patient when the patient is undergoing the surgery. Young medico has got to look at it. Who has got to do it? The computational algorithm has got to do it. Okay. Well then, I shall stop at this point. There are plenty of such interesting cases I have collected here. This is another one interesting problem. I just relate this problem. See, two students sitting in an examination, one copying from the other copied answer book. It's a biological system. Okay. Students are biological system. Naturally, the person who copies is more intelligent than the person who generates the answer, because the person who copies understands why should I copy this and then cut out as the original person has written that. He himself has decided to cut it off. So why should I write it at all? You know, that is the intelligence. Now, the system required is who has copied from whom has got to be found out. All right. These are 2 copied answers book. Yes. But who has copied from whom has got to be found out. And surely this is an interesting problem of putting biological thinking into computational thinking. Okay, I shall stop at this point, and I would be very happy to interact with you if you have some remarks and observations. Okay. Unmute. Madam Sahana, Madam Geeta, you may unmute.
Sahana.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So any questions from the participants?
Dr. Geeta, I had to prepare it yesterday night after I told a lot more examples, but then
That's what I was telling to my colleague here, sir. He told that he has to prepare now at the evening 7 o'clock, and it's like you need the whole 5 days for him only.
I got to be thankful to my personal secretary, Mukesh Rawat, who was immediately able to sit with me, and we were sitting here till 7:30 in the night to compile all these pictures. And more than that, I had to imagine how are the biology stories.
It is a wonderful thing, sir. Sahana will take over.
So I'll conclude. That was a wonderful and, as usual, informative, and it is a triggering talk to researchers to understand the transformation of human intelligence to artificial intelligence through computer, biology, and mathematics. But it is not actually a replacement. Nobody can replace a human intelligence. So neurology, now you say it is a neural network, and the way the data getting collected today, the transformation in the process, how it is happening. Sir gave a very good example of the pathology. And so much we are closer to the healthcare data that is voluminously getting generated. So initially we were talking about the big data, and now we are moving on to big data analytics as a pre-processing to data science. And the problems were well formulated by Dr. P.N. sir as usual. And that is really what researchers have to think, because I see in many of the professors' slides the mathematical models and the answers, the outcomes, the efficiency of the model defining. That is only to say that what are the possibilities, ways that we do. But main researcher and a good experienced professor can only motivate the researchers to think about the problem statement, how well a problem statement can be defined. So So I feel that every time we listen to Dr. PN, it is always a new words, new thought process that is put into place, and that we understand we have got to do so many things yet. And also we could see here the researchers have got to think in terms of biology, talk in terms of computers, and implement it in terms of mathematics. I think we all agree with this. Thank you very much, sir. And I also think that now everybody can be an independent researcher, because it is just not research. You have platforms for prototyping, you have the platforms for patenting it, and you have the platforms to collaborate with the industry, with the business model to come up with the products.
Yes.
So that kind of environment has to be created in every institution. So it brings in undergraduate, postgraduate, as well as research scholars also into the institution, also into the portals where all of us can work together. Thank you very much, Geeta ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I will be leaving the session, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank
All the
you.
best. All the best.
Participants, please do join back at 2:30 with the link given for session 2. Sahana madam.